I'm 55 years old, and I never thought, I never thought I would see the day that something like this would be acknowledged. My name is Brandi Simpson-Miller. I have two titles. My first is I'm an assistant professor of history here at Wesleyan College, and then my other is assistant director of the Lane Center for Social and Racial Equity, which will henceforth be known as the Equity Center. So in 21, I was hired to work on the Crafting Democratic Futures grant. The objective was to start conversations about reparations and what that may look like in different communities around the country. And that Crafting Democratic Futures grant, it was a Mellon grant. It was administered out of Michigan, the University of Michigan, and their program, but there were other schools like Wofford here in the South. There were 9 institutions. So I was hired to facilitate those conversations in the community. So I was part of a team with Dr. Doherty, and what we did for 2 years was meet at the Tubman, because that's our community partner. We met with the community, their community leaders. There were folks from every industry. Every industry was represented, business owners, so people came together at the Tubman to talk. And over the 2 years that I helped facilitate these meetings, we figured out that the thing that represented reparations, like reparative practices in Macon, was the history addressing the gap in the representation. So public art that represented people of African descent in Macon. The erasure of that history in the K-12 curriculum was something that they wanted addressed. And then the last thing would be the lack of historical markers. So once we ascertained that that's what reparations look like in Macon, is historical representation, we got invited by the Macon Bicentennial Committee, specifically Dr. Joshua Murphy, to meet with him to talk about markers. We were part of the brainstorming process about like how many are there going to be, what are they going to be focused on, where are they going to be put. We also helped to get some funding for it. Then when it came down to the actual verbiage, I didn't do the research, but I helped with the editing. So we helped with the conception and the final, making it look pretty. And then we also assisted with the actual installation, like facilitating that with the city. Who's going to actually dig the hole and we took the funding and went to the company that cast it. And so we were very involved with the creation of it. But in terms of the research, that is all Muriel Jackson at the Genealogical Library, the Washington Library. Okay. And then she and I worked very closely together to make sure that it was historically, that it told the narrative we wanted to tell and that it was accurate. There was a lot of cutting and many iterations. And what are the sources we're using and all that stuff. So we worked together on that collaboratively. Because of that community work we did, that research, when we came to the Bicentennial Committee, we were like, markers, we need markers. So that was an idea that we helped to contribute. We also helped with the topics of each of them. So one of them is highlighting the slave market. That was unpopular, I believe. We helped to kind of encourage, no, this is our history here. We got to talk about this. The historical, the Black Business District, to talk about that. So we helped with which parts of this story are we going to highlight and to come up with that concept. And then, of course, like I said, we ran that whole casting of the bronze markers. That was our contribution. And then again, also liaising with the city on where to put them. The verbiage, we had a huge hand in what was actually on the marker. There was a lot of back and forth with what was going to go into them and how to make it fit and just like the whole 9 yards. We were really involved with that process. It was an intense period of time. And I mean, we pushed to get this through in less than a year. That's a miracle that we were able to help facilitate that process and get it moved through so quickly. I'm 55 years old, and I never thought, I never thought I would see the day that something like this would be acknowledged. This is huge because what it means is that Macon is acknowledging its complicated past. This is a complicated history. So for me, I was amazed that the city was willing to, I couldn't believe it. I didn't believe it till the day it happened and we were there like acknowledging it. It's a complicated, painful, hard history. And in doing that, they are acknowledging it, they're owning it, and then also it combats the erasure of people of African descent and their contribution to the development of Macon, which was vital. And that in turn, I think, has really contributed to healing and connection in our community, and also a future in that we can together plan for what kind of a future is Macon gonna have. It's gonna have a huge impact, I think, on the narratives that are told, and not just that, being able to trust each other as we go forward and make plans for Macon in the next 100 years. During the civil rights movement, when the First Five attended here, they were really challenging institutional segregation, and that took a lot of courage. And so what their attending here helped us see as an institution was the need for structural changes, the need for changes of policies and practices, and also sisterhood practices maybe, which is another thing. But it really helped us to confront our past, to work through and toward a more equitable future. And our focus, which is our commitment to diversity, is rooted in the struggles of the First Five women of African descent. And so I think that they're coming here and going through what they went through has really helped Wesleyan to prioritize fostering an inclusive campus. You see that today in our programming and our curriculum, and initiatives like the Equity Center are reflected in that they're coming to our institution.